So let me introduce you my company. So in my bottles, I started 7 years ago, and I bring you another bottles. That's, we can't say champagne because there is no alcohol. So it's a kind of champagne made by a champagne company, but with no alcohol. And if you bring the back of the bottles, you have nutritional data. You have ingredients, list of ingredients and nutritional data. And my things was 7 years ago, I said, but why wines and alcoholic beverage doesn't have anything? They just have storytelling, okay? I'll show you the bottles. There is nothing about ingredients and nutritional data. So I say it's not fair. We have to, that's 40 years that alcoholic beverage has any mandatory information on how they produce the product and the nutritional data. So I said, okay, let's change that way. So here what happened. I created the first platform in 2018, and now your regulations said, okay, let's change that. And from last year, beginning, it will start for the bottles you will find this winter. Now all the wine sales in European countries, sorry, you have to display nutritional information on the bottles. So that's a big change. That's imagine how many bottles are selling on the European countries. So it's a lot of data which will arrive. And it's allowed a certain transparency that the consumers doesn't have before. But it's not the only change. They also say, if we put some nutritional data like this on our label, imagine a big Bordeaux, like 200 euros the bottles, they don't want to have any information on the label. They just want to have the name, and they just want to have yes, the appellation, all the things used today. So European said, okay, let's allow to put it digitally. So wine this year is the first product on the world that allows consumer information digital. Not on the label. You have to use a phone to get the information. So after the pitch, I will be on the other place, and I bring some good wines you can taste, but you also can test some QR code to access the ingredients and calories of the wine. So it's the first time that digitals come with information. So for me, it was yes, it was a fight, a big fight for 7 years. I come from a vineyard in the south of France, where my mother said, don't lose your time with the calories of wine. Nobody have to know. They just have to know that we are the best place to grow the wine. Okay, but it's now I think transparency is really a factor of choice, and wine is the first product that will, for alcoholic beverage, sorry, that will change. But I think after that you will have some information for beers, for wine, for vodka, for spirits and ciders, all of that. But let's make it happen with a digital way. So here was what's the momentum is that next year you will start to have QR codes on wine bottles everywhere. Okay, and this QR code doesn't allow any information that will be marketing. Okay, only fact. Okay, cool. So now we have a lot of information we will arrive on the market, and I think the next challenge will be let the information flow. How we can make it accessible everywhere to anyone who just asking the question, okay? That's why I'm here. And that's why I really appreciate your community, because it is the question. An information that nobody can access have no sense. And the fact that it's behind a QR code, that's make a step more than it was on a label. So, but it's also digital, so maybe we can get this opportunity to make it more accessible, okay? So yes, that's the flow I speak about it. And maybe I think it's the, yes, billion of data, and now other American language, English language countries start to think about it. So USA, Australia, New Zealand, but also Argentina. I think this European norm will become a worldwide norm, okay? But the other things, maybe to close this discussion and start to drink, is the fact that it become digital is also for me an opportunity to get more information. This information we have on the label or on the packaging, it was made 40 years ago. But now we can have more and more information. And if we think it digitally, we can have more information. So how can we get more mandatory information? Because an information that the producer just give to sell more product, that's not an information. We just have to find what are the information we want mandatory, okay? And the other thing is to make it accessibility of information by the consumer, the distributor, etc. So maybe more information. I already take an example. For wine, there is no problem because we really know where it was made. But for the pasta, for example, we can just think that digitally the consumer may have the information where where la matière première, le blé, where the ingredients came from. So is that came from Italy? No, no, no. It came from far away. Okay. So that's the kind of information we can think about it. Okay. Thank you very much.